The Colonization of South Africa, Part 3. Official colonization. As the two previous subheadings referred to people groups who roamed the continent and reached the southern part of it by land, the colonization referred to under this subheading originated from Europe and reached the southern parts of the continent by sea. The invention of the compass by the end of the 13th century made it easier for people to explore. Approximately 2 centuries later, the first voyagers to test the new invention of the sea were the Portuguese. In 1486, Bartholomew Diaz sailed around the southern point of Africa, followed by Vasco da Gama in 1497. The latter set foot ashore at both present-day St. Helena Bay and Mossel Bay and traded with the Khoi people. Close to the end of the 16th century, the Dutch became a major sea power. In 1584, they sent Jan Huygens van Liechtenstein by sea to India, followed by Corliss and Frederick de Houtman in 1595. In the middle of the 17th century, the Dutch, with their home base in Amsterdam, had the largest trading enterprise in the world, called the Verenigd Oost-Indisch Company, established in 1602. Their most important trading partners were India, Malaysia, and Indonesia, and the best way to reach them was by sea. In 1619, the VOC established a regular government in Jakarta, on the Java island of Indonesia seized by VOC, which became the capital of the Eastern Empire of the VOC, and renamed it to Batavia. The VOC did not pay their employees well, which opened the way for theft and corruption, of which Jan van Riebeeck was a good example. Being an employee for the VOC, but was recalled and fined because of private trading. Because of the long journey on the sea with no fresh meat, fruit and vegetables, many of the soldiers developed scurvy, prompting the need for a halfway station, which could easily be the southern part of the African continent. In 1650, the directors of the VOC, called the Herren XVI in Roman numeric, then decided to establish a refreshment station for the passing ships at Table Bay, named by Joris van Springen in 1601, then called the Cape, and in the next century known as Cape Town. Whereas it was seemingly the intention of the VOC to only establish a halfway station at the Cape, Van Riebeeck soon realized that the land had immense possibilities, and only a year after they had landed in the Cape, he realized 9 company servants to start full-time farming for the eastern side of Table Mountain. The halfway station became a colony. The colonizers brought with them the Western culture and Western intellectual baggage, like the Roman Dutch law. The Reformed Church was based on Calvinist dogma and capitalism ideas foreign to this part of the world. From Batavia, the Dutch borrowed slavery and the display of wealth. This resulted in almost every wealthy person having slaves or servants. In 1795, the once mighty VOC was on the verge of bankruptcy. Britain had founded the British East India Company and decided to take control of the Cape as a halfway station to the east. In June 1795, the fleet of Vice Admiral Elphinstone arrived to Simon's Bay, and with the help of the main British fleet that arrived there on 3rd September, they conquered the Cape at the Battle of Mozambique. Having seized the Cape from the VOC in 1795, the British returned the colony to the Dutch government in 1803 when peace had been concluded with the French after the Treaty of Amiens. In 1806, however, with the beginning of the Napoleonic Wars, the British again took the Cape in order to protect the sea route to their Asian empire. This time the battle took place in Blouberg. From 1806 onwards, the Cape would be a colony of Britain. Almost a century and a half of Dutch domination in the Cape came to an end. Interestingly, South Africa was the only country in Africa being colonized by the Dutch. This was the introduction to almost a century and a half of English domination up to 1961, when South Africa became an independent republic after being a union under British supervision for half a century from 1910. Internal colonization. After being colonized unofficially by the migrants from the north, as well as having two official colonizations by the Europeans from the south, this country had to face a fourth internal colonization before it had to gain its freedom. The Republic of South Africa from 1961 onwards was just a continuation of the rule of the National Party, which had already started in 1948. This white Afrikaner rule without any black or mixed race representation, this time independent of the supervision of Britain, was nothing else but a next phase of colonization of this country, and this was maybe the harshest of them all. This colonization would end only in 1994. A new people group and a new language. The Cape-colored or mixed-race people as they are known today was not a people group in the Cape when the groups from the north and the south arrived in this part of Africa. The origins of the mixed-race people can officially be tracked back to the arrival of the Dutch in South Africa. Firstly, there was mixed offsprings of Dutch and Malay slaves who arrived at the Cape in 1657. The settlers and the soldiers who came to the Cape had mixed offsprings with the Khoi, the San, and later also with the Xhosa people. The Indians who came to the Cape also contributed to the gene pool. According to Jenkins, in 1996, the people groups in the present-day South Africa can be classified as colored or mixed-race people are: first, the Western Cape living in the Western Cape and Namibia. Second, the Griqua mixed race who live in the vicinity of Kimberley and Griqualand, which forms part of the present-day Western Cape. Third, the Rehoboth community in Namibia. The mixed-race people in South Africa have many ambiguities and variances, while their skin color varies from black or brown to white. Some of them have Afrikaans names and surnames, while others have English, Indian, or other surnames. The mother tongue of most of them is Afrikaans, as is the mother tongue of most of the remaining Khoisan people living in the Cape. Among the Dutch and the new people group, a new language emerged, which could be called Pidgin Dutch. As the Dutch language spoke in the Cape gradually changed from the language being spoken in the Netherlands, the people started to call it the Afrikaan language or Afrikaans. This common language showed differences from the Dutch being spoken in the churches, in law courts, and in the schools in the Cape. The new language also borrowed words from the local people. As early as 1685, less than 30 years after the arrival of the Dutch in the Cape, a senior official already warned the people against the corruption of the Dutch language. Today, Afrikaans is the third most common language after Zulu and Xhosa, spoken in South Africa by 13.5% of the people. Spoken in South Africa by 13.5% of the people. It is already noted that Africa was the origin of modern mankind, but not of modern language. However, in a very interesting study conducted by Quentin Askinson on phonemic diversity within 500 different languages, he concluded that Central and Southern Africa could represent either a single origin for modern languages or the main origin under a polygenesis scenario. It is therefore not a strange phenomenon that Afrikaans was also created in this part of the continent. Stay tuned for the continuation of video. And that's it from Injibs Network. Stay tuned to our celebrity and gossip news.